Hello, I'm Nikmatul Faizah, and in this video, I will share my review about the short story that I've already read before. So, without any further ado, let's go! So, let me tell you the synopsis of The Telltale Heart story. The Telltale Heart is a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. It revolves around an unnamed narrator who insists on his sanity while describing the meticulous planning and execution of a murder. The victim is an old man with a vulture-like eye that unsettles the narrator. The narrator eventually succumbs to the guilt and paranoia, hearing the imagined sound of the victim's voices, leading to a confession to the police. The story explores themes of guilt, menace, and the fragility of the human mind. So, let's check the components of the short story. So, in this story, I will explain about the short story that entitled The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. So, the author of this story, of course, Edgar Allan Poe, was an American writer known for his contribution to the mystery, macabre, and gothic fiction genres. His works often explore the dark aspects of the human psyche, and The Telltale Heart is one of his well-known short stories that delves into themes of guilt, menace, and paranoia. So this story is about psychological horror that related to human mind, also the guilt, feelings, and menace. Now we meet the genre of this story. So this genre of the story can be categorized as psychological horror. The Telltale Heart falls within the genres of gothic fiction and psychological horror. It is a classic example of Edgar Allan Poe's mastery in crafting tales that explore the complexities of the human mind, often with a focus on dark and macabre themes. The stories emphasize on psychological suspense, the descent into menace, and the eerie atmosphere aligned with the conventions of gothic and horror literature. Now we meet the language of this story. So this story originally used or written by English language because Edgar Allan Poe was from American. So the theme of this story can be categorized as psychology or human mind that related to what the narrator or the characters think about something. And then I need 20 minutes to read this story and also comprehend what is the story talking about. And then the narrator of the story used first person point of view, and the story was narrated by the first person, by the narrator itself. Okay, now we meet the characters. So in this story, the narrator as the antagonist of the story. I think there's not explanation about who is the antagonist or protagonist in this story because it is focused on the narrator point of view. And the narrator in here, the story is told from the first person perspective of an unnamed narrator. So there's no name of the narrator. This individual becomes increasingly obsessed with the old man's vulture-like eye and ultimately commits murder. The narrators descend into menace and the guilt form of the core of the narrative. So the narrator from the first introduction, the narrator is obsessed with the man's vulture-like eye because it just giving some fear to him. So the man exactly don't do anything to the narrator, but the narrator just hate the eyes of the man because sometimes it just scared him. So the old man is the target of the narrator's obsession. He is described as having a pale blue eye that resembles a vulture's eyes. The old man is the victim of the narrator's irrational fear, leading to tragic outcomes. So yeah, the old man in here doesn't do any trouble or maybe some problems to the narrator, but the narrator is just obsessed with the eyes. And the narrator exactly doesn't hate the man, but he hates the old man eyes. So the narrator want to kill the man or murder the man in the end because the narrator wants the eyes of the man never open again. So we come to the last character, that is the police. The police can be seen as secondary characters rather than traditional protagonists or antagonists in the story. They play a role in the resolution of the story, representing the external force that uncovers the crime committed by the narrator. While they contribute to the climax and resolutions, the primary focus remains on the internal struggles of the narrator and the consequences of their actions. Exactly, the police don't know that the narrator is the perpetrator, but because of the narrator's guilty of his action before, after murder the old man, and then the narrator feels like he hears something like voices that always come from the old man's mouth, but it's just his imagination because of his guilty feelings. And then after that, in the end, the narrator decide to told the truth that he is the murderer of the old man to the police. So we meet the plot of the story. Basically, this story uses chronological plot. The Telltale Heart follows a chronological plot structure because the events are presented in the order in which they occur, starting with the narrator's introduction and leading through the planning and execution of the murder to the arrival of the police and the narrator's eventual confession. The linear progression of events helps build tension and suspense, especially as the narrator's mental state unravels. While there may be moments of reflection and introspection, the story primarily unfolds in a chronological sequence. Now we meet the settings of the short story. So the settings is just in the old man house, the place when the narrator always check the man every night, and then the place when the narrator killed the man in the old man's bedroom, and then the place when the police investigate the narrator itself. So actually, there are no explanation about what is the relationship between the old man and the narrator, but maybe as I can guess, maybe they are neighbor or maybe another relationship, but there are no clear explanation about that. And then we meet the problems. So the main problem in this story centers around the narrator's irrational obsession and descent into madness, leading to the premeditated murder of the old man. The narrator becomes fixated on the old man's pale blue eye, which they perceive as vulture-like and evil. This obsession intensifies to the point where the narrator believes that the eye must be eliminated. So, just because of the menace and the imagination of the narrator, he decides to kill the man and close the eyes of the old man forever. In the other hand, or in the other way, the narrator have to murder the man. Now, the more value that I get after reading this short story, maybe consequences of guilt. First is consequences of guilt, because in the resolution or in the end of the short story, there are voices that the narrator hears by the old man, even though the old man already dead. So that not the real voices of the old man, but it's just the voices of guilty feelings that the narrator felt because he murdered the old man. So that's why after we do something that just feels so wrong, we will consequences that guilty feelings. We will feel that guilty feelings after we do something that we think it's just not right. And then I get subjectivity of perception. So it is important to put our perception on the things wisely, because perception is coming from our mind. So if our mind have a negative perception about something, it's not impossible that it will be affect to our behavior or our action to someone else. And the perception of the narrator about the old man's eyes make him take the action to kill or murder the old man in the end. And then I have morality and sanity, because in the story our sanity is important, also our morality about it's not the right thing to kill someone just because there's something we don't like, or there's something that we just feels not right about them, maybe about the personality, or maybe the physical appearance, or maybe another reason. We just have to get that morality, because if we don't have that morality, we will just doing something just because our perception about it, without even think about our morality to someone's life. And then the sanity, maybe the sanity is important for us. It's important to control our mind, because it affects to our sanity. If we always have to think that the old mind eyes is dangerous all the time without even try to communicate to ourselves that that's not right, that's just our perception, that's just something you fear without even know that's the truth, right? The old man doesn't do anything to the narrator, but the sanity of the narrator is just destroyed by the perception and the menace that the narrator feels about the old man's eyes. Now, the mood. So, when I read this short story, I think I feel very curious about, okay, the introduction is about the man, or maybe the narrator that explained about his obsession and his fear about the old man eyes. So I am just too curious what will happen in the next. What will the man do to? What will the narrator do to the old man? And then I feel excited too because yeah, it felt excited. If you don't know how the story goes, if you just can guessing, oh, what is the relationship between them? What is the man mistake until the narrator want to murder the man just because his eyes. So yeah, in the end, we know that exactly it's just the obsession of the narrator without any explanation or reason that it makes sense, just to murder someone. So yeah, the story is very very excited to read. Okay, now we need a rate. I think I will rate the story 9 out of 10 because the story is very exciting and give us such as curious feelings to just know how this story will end. And the end is quite satisfied because in the end, the man or the narrator that murdered the old man just decide to show up the old man's body in the cupboard of him and just inform the police that I I am the murderer. I am the murderer of this old man. Because of the guilty feelings of the narrator, of course. So it's just yeah, it's related to the reality because sometimes if we feel guilty feelings, we feel like cannot just calm down. Like there's something in our mind that convince us to show up what we hiding for, and that's why I read the story 9 out of 10. Okay, now maybe message for the next reader. I think people have to read this short story because this short story is quite easy to understand. Also have a good plot that's really chronologic as a chronological plot structure itself. And then the story give us the more value to be wise to our mind, be wise to our perception about something, be wise about our imagination. Because sometimes what we fear, what we scared of is just in our imagination. It's not right. It's not happen in the reality. So just yeah, be wise to control our mind, perception, our manners. So that's all from me about a short story that entitled The Telltale Heart. Hope it's quite detailed and give a clear explanation about the story. I'm not a perfect person. Maybe I usually use or have some mistake when I present this story in this video. So I hope that useful for all of the people that watch the story. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye in the next video.